minute until showtime.
Hello, everybody. Welcome into a Wednesday edition of the Computer America Show. Bob LeVitus, Dr. Mac LeVitus, is scheduled to be here. He's having some technical difficulties. Hopefully, we can get him on in the show in the time. He's got a lot to talk about. Bob, Dr. Mac LeVitus, if you have a Macintosh, hopefully you know who he is. Very popular. He's a correspondent with us on the show. And then the second hour, we'll do computer and technology news. That, of course, is brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. So in about 30 seconds, we begin our Wednesday edition of Computer America.
Yeah.
There's Bob. Bob, can you hear me?
I can hear you. I hate my ISP.
All right. Well, anyway, stand by. Hit the mute button on the top there. You see what the logo is? See, it says mute microphone on the Google Hangouts on the top. The second.
Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4,
it toggles. Here we go.
3, 2, 1.
Okay, I got it.
Broadcasting live, it's America's longest-running national radio talk show on computers, Computer America, hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. Look for Craig's weekly column in your favorite newspaper. This show is being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. Keep it here for technology news, computer products, guest interviews, and your phone calls. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello, and welcome into the Computer America Show. It's the nation's longest-running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers. Computer America is heard around the world and coast to coast. And I'm your host, Craig Crossman.
And I'm your co-host, Ben.
And it is Wednesday! No.
All right.
There we go. All right, it is Wednesday, the middle of the month, and middle of the week, actually, and also sort of the middle of the month, toward the end, actually. But here we are, and we've got a great show planned for you. In the second hour, we're going to be doing computer and technology news. That's brought to you by Slimware Utilities. They are the official optimization software of Computer America. And in the first hour, it's a blast from the past. He hasn't been with us for quite some time, but he's here now. Bob, Dr. Mac LeVitus, is going to be joining us here, talking about Mac stuff. Especially in the wake of Apple's recent announcements, and Apple's been in the news quite a bit, and so he's going to give us his particular views and opinions on this. Now, if you have a comment or question, we'd love to hear from you. Give us a call at 347-884-8881. That's 347-884-8881. We'll get you on, and we'll get you through. If you don't want to go on the air, but you have a question, just head over to ComputerAmerica.com. On the upper right-hand corner of any page there, it'll say Submit a Question. It's a link. Click it. It'll take you to our question submission page. Type in your question and hit the Submit button, and Ben and I will act accordingly upon whatever you typed to us. The other thing, of course, is that you can also watch the Computer America Show. We offer live video streaming of our radio broadcast. Again, head over to ComputerAmerica.com. On the menu bar, on any page, it'll say Show Lounge. Click it. You'll be instantly teleported to our live video stream. If you do it late, you'll be joined to the show already in progress. You can watch the show and interact with us there. Of course, if you have when you can see me, you'll be able to see Ben. You'll be able to see our guest today, and also Ben has the technology to display websites, videos, movies, all the things in the background. He has the technology, so it will further enrich your experience of what we call Computer America. Everything we do here at Computer America is at ComputerAmerica.com. That is the internet home of our radio broadcast. So Ben, anything else you want to talk about before we get started on today's show? Anything newsworthy that you might want to mention, or?
Well, we're going to be loose with the term newsworthy here, but I'm sure, as you all know, Superman vs. Batman coming out in 2 days.
Yeah.
And
Yay.
Early reviews are in.
Yeah, and
I know Craig always says that I never put much weight into reviews, and then after he sees a movie, he gives his review. So a little kind of weird thing there. But yeah, the early reviews are in, and I tell this all of you now from a place of love. Lower your expectations.
No, I don't know. It looks too good.
Sadly.
No, I don't listen to reviewers.
See, I told you.
Yeah. Well, what did
But
they
if
say
they were
about
amazing, you'd say, "Oh my God!" See, even the reviewers think so. But
what did they say about
critically,
what did the reviewers say about Deadpool? They said the same thing. Ah, it's okay.
no, no. The reviews for Deadpool were actually one of the highest Marvel movie reviews ever.
Okay. All right. Well, I never listen to movie reviews. I go ahead and see it. But
Well,
I've been there.
again, I say it from a place of love. Lower your expectations.
Well, I can't wait to see it. It's been a long. I mean, I enjoyed the very first one, The Man of Steel. I mean, I like that. I thought it was great, and I went to see it several times. And I look forward to seeing this next version as well coming up. I won't go Friday. I'll probably go. Wait to the crowds. I'll probably go like on a Saturday or Sunday matinee, and I'll go see it.
Oh yeah, you know what the worst part about the movie-going experience is? Oh,
Yeah.
the crowd. Oh, how awful. Which is really the only thing keeping the movie-going experience alive is the crowd.
Well,
I think some of the joy of going to go see a movie is to, elbow a child in the face, push over a pregnant woman, strong arm some biker dude. The people are what make the movie-going experience exciting.
Exactly.
Go during the busiest time of day. Go for the 9 p.m. matinee or the 9 p.m. show time on a Friday night. Do that.
No, I don't think it's on 3D, so I won't be going to 3D. But what I will be seeing is
it's not. I can't imagine a movie this big that took like $350-400 million is not coming out in IMAX. Are you sure?
I think it'll be out in IMAX. I don't think it's in 3D IMAX, but I definitely will go see it in IMAX on the large screen.
Right.
Give it a shot to do that. Did you see Deadpool on the large screen IMAX?
Yeah, no.
Oh.
We're cheap. So.
Okay. Well, that said, let's bring our guest now. As I said, it's been a while since he's been on the show, and but it's like riding a bike. I think once you do it, you never forget how to do it. His name, of course, is Bob LeVitus. He's a writer, raconteur, and columnist to the Houston Chronicle and the Mac Observer. In fact, anyone who owns a Macintosh more than likely has heard of Bob Dr. Mac LeVitus. He's a prolific author of several books, including his latest, Working Smarter for Mac Users. And most importantly, Bob is an official Computer America correspondent and professional wine taster. Bob, welcome back into Computer America. How you been?
Beer taster, Craig. Beer.
Okay.
In Texas, we don't drink wine.
I see. Well, I'll change
I've
that.
Been great.
Yeah, you have been. Well, you look great. You look fine, and I know you've been quite busy for some time. You've been doing. Yeah.
I'm always busy.
Yeah. Okay. Well.
I keep myself out of trouble. And by the way, the Working Smarter book is a soon-to-be, not a already done. It's coming out this summer.
Yeah, but you've written so many books,
78. 78
books. I got.
Who's counting though?
Yeah,
who's keeping track?
I mean, you didn't. Was it the Mac for Dummies? I mean, you've written a lot of
iPhone
books.
for Dummies, iPad for Dummies, Office for Dummies. If there's a way to make it dumb, I'm probably wrote about it.
Well, and at first blush, I would say, why would someone need to read that book? But ever since I saw, what's the actor's name? He was showing off his
David
iPhone.
Duchovny.
No, and he was holding up to his ear, and the iPhone was upside down. So I figured at that point.
That's acting, though. That's acting.
No, I think.
Well, they don't. They don't come with manuals, so people who want an instruction manual have to go buy something. I mean, there's stuff you could read online, but my demographic for the Dummies books, I believe, is mature ladies and gentlemen, who like the heft of a paperback manual rather than trying to read it on the help screen while they're, trying to do something on their computer. So I think that's who still buys, my books.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. Obviously, it's like 2 days after the big announcements. Apple had the big meeting. I watched the keynote from start to finish, listened to everything they had to say. Interesting opening by Tim Cook, and I want to get your reflections on most everything that they talked about. But before we get to that, one of the things that I noticed that they didn't talk about is they didn't talk about the Mac. Why? Why? I mean, the Mac was like their bread and butter, and it seems they talk less and less about it these days.
I'll tell you why. The next time you see Tim Cook and the gang on a stage, they're going to be at the Worldwide Developer Conference, and it's then, the focus is on. You'll hear more about the Mac and the next version of Mac OS and the next version of iOS and all the stuff you thought you might have heard Monday.
Mhm.
This was kind of. I thought this was kind of an odd event. It's like they had to have an event because they had 2 new products, but that's about it. There wasn't much other news, and it seemed to me they even had to pad it out, and it was only an hour, the shortest one I can remember.
Mhm.
And it seemed like, as good as the health kit and the whatever the other kit thing was are, that's filler in one of these keynotes. I mean, it's nice feel-good filler, but they're just filling time. If they had just announced the 2 products, they'd have been out of there in 30 minutes.
That's true. I mean, they opened up with this, how Apple's in the environment. They had that woman speaking, droning on and on. I said, all right, enough, or let's get to the products,
All good to know, but not what we came for. Right.
You think they would realize that and not, burden us with that?
Well,
But
there's a reason
there's a template for those shows,
Yeah, there's a reason that Hollywood movies, if you just cut to the meat of it, a lot of movies would be over in 15, 20, 10 minutes. But, you got to have your fluff. You got to have, there are probably shareholders.
Foreplay.
Yeah.
Middle play.
Exactly.
Or
you
Act 1, Act 2, Act 3.
warm up the crowd.
all right.
And
well,
one more thing. Of course.
But
there wasn't even one more thing.
It was not even the one more thing. Of course, that was
Steve Jobs.
Jobs' way. Everybody always looked forward to that. And Tim Cook borrows it. I mean, when he talked about the Apple Watch, that was the one more thing. So people, they still do that from time to time. So what was your? I mean, okay. So they announced 2 products. It was the new iPhone SE, which is basically back to a 4-inch screen. And the reason he gave that, the reason they were going back to the 4-inch screen, because he said there was such a demand. Was it in China or over in Europe? They wanted the smaller screens, and so they kind of said, okay, we're going to do that. But it has all the features of the success, right? So.
More or less, yeah. It's like they took the old iPhone 5 form factor and crammed in all, more modern guts. It's got the older thumb sensor, and it doesn't have 3D touch. But, for the most part, it's the equivalent of the newer phones. And by bringing it out with 16 gigs of storage at $399, it's the lowest price point for an iPhone now.
You think it was a smart move on their part to do something like that?
I do. I think, here's the thing. I have no interest in it. I love my 6S Plus, and if I could make phone calls on my iPad mini, that would be my phone. I'm bigger is better guy, so it doesn't make any sense to me. However, I know people who wouldn't give up iPhone 5s, which are kind of archaic today, because they didn't want a bigger form factor. So there's obviously people out there that want that smaller phone. And if Apple, why should they leave money on the table? Why should they, cede the 4-inch screen sector to crappier phones? Really, it makes sense for them to do it if there's a market for it, and I have to believe there's, they're going to sell a lot of these, even though it's not my cup of soup. It didn't. I fell asleep during the keynote. I thought he was announcing the iPhone 5S again. I thought I was like deja vuing, and I took a little nap.
Okay.
It wasn't the most exciting keynote I've been to, or seen, rather.
And
look, there's my website. I saw my website there on the screen for a second.
Yeah,
cool.
Right here.
Now,
got you covered. But
that's
he
my
was
new
announcing,
thing.
Yeah, it's awesome. He was announcing the 5S though again. It's just the 5SE, and it was the same thing. But
What does that stand for?
Special edition.
Does anybody know what the special edition? I don't know. You remember the Mac SE?
Yes, that was a special edition.
The third Mac?
Yeah.
No, that was system expansion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it didn't expand.
SE,
It got
system
smaller.
expansion.
It got smaller.
It had one slot. It had one slot.
Yeah, I remember that. But this one got smaller. It didn't expand. The 5, it got smaller. So I think it's a special edition.
Just wait. They're going in a new direction. In a couple of years, they're going to introduce the iPhone Nano Mini fingernail size thing. You know,
everything was smaller. Look at that. Then the other big announcement was the iPad Pro, but instead of being bigger, they made it smaller.
That got smaller too. Yeah, smaller is better.
Yes.
Small is the new big.
Well, you know, the 9.7 inch, that's what all iPads have been up to date until the Pro took it to 12.7. But 9.7 has been the de facto standard. And so now they took all the features of the Pro and put it into a 9.7 inch screen, which actually I kind of like. You know, I think that makes kind of sense.
That is a total smart play because of this.
The pencil.
See, you can use the pencil with the new smaller iPad Pro, so you don't have to buy a $1,000 iPad to have the benefits of pencil.
Yeah.
And pencil rocks. Pencil.
Like it. Yeah.
Maybe the best accessories Apple's ever made. And
really?
I can't draw.
Really? But you know,
it's great. It's just like, you know, taking notes on this is like writing on paper for me. I love it.
You can put the heel of your hand and your fingertips from the other on there, and it doesn't affect. Yeah, it doesn't affect it. Which I think is so. It's.
And I got a case that holds the pencil after losing it twice. I found it both times, but it's, you know, when you lose your $100 accessory, it's pretty annoying. So I found me a case. This one's called, I don't even know, Cover Buddy. And it's got a little attachment on the back, which also lets it sit like, you know, at an angle so you can type on the screen better. It's not bad.
Would think Apple would have had some sort of accommodation for the pencil on the Pro. You know, they would have
like a magnet or something or a clip. Yeah, it was inelegant, so they'd rather have you lose it than wreck the design with something useful.
Do you remember Steve Jobs when he was introducing for the very first the iPhone in his very first speech, which I thought was phenomenal, and it's you can still see it today. And he said he was going to explain using his finger. He says, "Well, what's the next thing? A stylus?" He said, "No, stylus is bad. Yuck." He said, "Your finger, exactly."
Yuck.
That's the word he went. Yuck.
He reserved the right to change his mind.
Yeah. Well,
as he often did, and then again, there's always the, you know, he's good at the head fake. He says that, but in the meantime, they were developing the pencil in the back room, and he knew it.
He did.
He's just trying to fool the competition.
There you go. All right. Well, so the iPad Pro, the 9.5 inch, and the iPhone SE, the two new pieces of hardware that were introduced, and of course iOS 9.3. Now I like Night Shift. I thought that they added a couple of nice things. Yeah, Night Shift is great because it takes out the blue from the screen based on the time of day or evening that it is, and then it puts it back during the day. I thought that was very nice.
So do you like that? Would you like that? See, when I saw that, I said, why don't I have that on my Mac? Because that's where I really need it, because that screen's even bigger and bluer, and I have two of them, and I'm in here at night, and it turns out there's an app, a free app called Flux, that pretty much does the same thing as Night Shift, changing the color temperature and bringing down the brightness at night, and it does the same thing. It monitors the sunrise and sunset time, and makes it dimmer late at night than at 7 o'clock. It's great. I've got that running on all my Macs now.
Well, okay, but Apple is known for putting companies like that out of business because in the next iteration of OS 10, they probably will add something.
It's free.
Yeah, all right, well,
it's free. How's Apple going to put them out of business? They're giving it away already. You know what? They'll go out of business because they'll have to give them away in volume.
Wow.
That's a Steve Jobs joke. We'll make it up in volume. We'll lose a little on every one we sell, but we're going to make it up in volume.
All right, so anything else about the Monday?
There you go.
Anything else about the Monday event that you found interesting that you want to share with the listeners?
Yes.
Before? No, okay.
So they did 40 years of Apple in 40 seconds, right?
That was cool.
If you watch, it was great. Two things stood out to me. One, the Newton got scribbled out. It's like, oops. revisionist history. And the second was the rainbow cursor was on screen for approximately 1 second
Yeah.
out of 40, which
Yeah.
is about how long it's been proportionally on all of our screens. So it was about right.
Yeah.
The
What
rainbow
Mac-
spinning
140th?
cursor.
Yeah, well, I don't know if Ben remembers. The Newton was the first handwriting recognition handheld device that failed miserably.
It was a
Yes,
party
yes,
joke.
yes.
Yeah.
My memories of a decade before I was born are actually rather blurry. So
But
Oh,
but
kids.
yeah, yeah. Geez, what are you gonna do with them? Um, so that was basically the other thing that you found interesting. I also found interesting was the little 40 Mac 40, because it's their 40th birthday, April the 1st, right? So that's it. So
April
Apple,
Fool's Day. They incorporated on April Fool's Day.
yeah, exactly, and they became what they are today. Okay, so
Bigger than most nations.
what do you think you were gonna see at the what kind of Mac do you own now, by the way? Which you have an iMac, you have the
I have a 15-inch MacBook Pro.
Mhm.
It's my main Mac. It's decked out. It's got lots of RAM and a big 24-inch monitor next to it, and I'm perfectly happy with it because it gives me the ability to both work here at my desk or on a moment's notice pick up what I need to work anywhere. And when I do video editing and stuff, I need a a lot of horsepower for the road, and this has it. I've got a little Thunderbolt RAID that is perfect for doing video like I do. I can edit video on airplanes for 3.5 hours.
Well,
Then I run out of juice.
what they were saying that the iPad Pro was going to replace the MacBook Pro. What's your thoughts on that?
I don't think so. I don't think it's going to be a really long time because, a lot of the things that we do on the computer aren't optimized for a fingertip interface and not optimized for a pencil. I can't imagine that everybody that
But the case makes it a
edits video
you can clip on the
would want to do it on.
Yeah, but you can make a
Yeah,
keyboard.
but clipping it.
Yeah, you clip on the case.
Editing by touching the screen, editing video by touching the screen will never replace the mouse and the jog shuttle knob, and
Okay.
for a lot of things. I
Fair
don't like editing photos. I think I have much better control. Although I have to say, running Photoshop with the pencil.
Yeah.
I'm not used to it yet, but I'm getting used to it, and I think maybe someday that could be my preferred way to work in Photoshop.
Uh-huh.
But as far as writing goes, for example, I don't know. I like multiple windows. I like the ability to multitask in more than 2 things at a time.
Okay.
I've got my screen set up with about 7 or 8 things, just
Mhm.
where I like them. I hide them when I don't need them, but they pop right back when I do. I don't have to swipe 5 times or double tap the home button. And the thing is, I don't think the iDevices are made for multitasking the way I multitask, which is multiple things on multiple screens. And I
Okay.
don't think they ever will be. So for someone like me, never going to happen.
Yeah.
For the lightweight user that just does email, surfs the web a little, types a few letters and stuff, why not? Why would you need a whole computer for that,
Okay. So we are getting to that point for the average person.
I think so. For a lot of people.
A tablet. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
And they have the new keyboard deal on the iPad Pro, makes it pretty darn close to a laptop. I mean,
Yeah.
I've taken it on trips, and last time I went away for a week, I took it and my MacBook Pro, but I tried not to touch the MacBook Pro for a week. And I did okay until the day of my column being due. And then trying to write and research and do web searches, gathering the information, and then writing, I just couldn't deal with it on the iPad, and I switched over to the Mac.
At least you tried,
Yeah, and that was the only thing, though. All week, I did all my mail on it. I did all my web surfing. I didn't take the MacBook Pro out. So even for me, we're getting to, where I could ostensibly do most of my stuff. Mail isn't nearly as easy. I can, because I can grab a stack of mail messages and do something to them, and that's like, if you can even do it on an iPad, a multi-step process, select multiple messages. I don't know.
All right, so I heard.
Someday, maybe.
Yeah. All right. So listen, I heard you're reviewing Office 365 2016 for the Mac. How's it going?
Well, I might be. I got it because I wrote the book about the last Office, and I thought, okay, I'll give it a try. Well, let's see. They got this thing called OneDrive. Well, you know Microsoft stuff. So OneDrive is their iCloud, right?
Mm-hmm.
Except that when I used it, when I looked in the little menu item, it said that I had 3,000 errors, and it said something for details. So I chose that, and it crashed, and it left a big white bar across the middle of my screen.
Hmm.
Now, if that wasn't bad enough, it didn't tell me what the error was, or what was causing it, or anything about it, and so I filed a tech support thing, and a few days later, I got an email that it was escalated, and then I didn't hear anything for a month. And then I heard from them, and they said, oh, yeah, we figured it out. It's because you can't have files that use a space as the first character, or an exclamation mark, or a bullet, or a bracket, or a colon, or and I'm like, you're kidding. Those are all legal things for file names on a Mac, and you're telling me that those files choke your app without even throwing up an error message? And I could hear the email thinking, and it was like, well, yeah, that is kind of what we're saying. And I said, well, how about, when will it be fixed? No ETA for that. So I wrote a really scathing editorial for the Mac Observer, because Microsoft, every time you hear them talk about the Mac, they talk about how wonderful it is, how many copies of Office they sell, and how strategically important it is to the small business community that the Mac version be awesome. And so that was my first experience. And then Microsoft Word, I've written all my books in Word because publishers ask for it. It's like, that's what they want when you do real book publishing with real publishers. They won't accept anything else. I couldn't get them to take a Pages file. I tried. So I've always used Word. And the latest version doesn't support custom toolbars. And all of what I've done for all of my books is built on building a custom toolbar for the template I'm using, so everything I need is right on screen, and I can just either click it or use a shortcut to it. So I open the template, and the styles are still in the template, but they're not, and there's no way to display them all at once. There's just, they took it out, and
do you think that
no word on whether it's coming back.
Do you think Microsoft is targeting you, Bob? I mean, the things that you really like is the special characters in the title, the toolbar.
I put a space bar at the of file names. I've done it for my whole life because it makes them float to the top of lists.
Yeah.
So I always have files with a space as their first character.
Yeah.
And I use dashes in my file names. I sometimes use slashes and pipes, the straight slash. I mean, it's just the fact that Microsoft, A, would have a product that had that flaw, and B, take a month to tell me that that's what it was, which obviously they knew, and C, that their engineers had the chutzpah to put out a product knowing that, it's going to choke on a bunch of different kinds of Mac files, or at least fire up an error message that said, hey, these are illegal characters, you can't put those files on your one disk unless you change the names of them. It would have been easy. I mean, they looked in the logs and figured out what was wrong. So anyway, go to macobserver.com and read the editorial. It starts with a really good joke about, I could tell the joke, it's clean.
Okay.
So there's an airplane over the Pacific somewhere, and it's lost. the pilot's yelling into the microphone, "Help! Help! Where are we? Help! Help!" And he finally hears a faint voice, and it says, so he hangs a left, and he lands in Redmond, Washington. And his co-pilot says, "How'd you do that? How'd you know?" He said, "Well," he said, "the answer I got was 100% correct and 100% useless. So it could only have come from Microsoft's tech support. I made a left and landed in Redmond, Washington." So I heard that joke, and I thought it was a joke until this tech support thing. And then it's like, wow, the answer I got, and it took a month. Now, I didn't get it over the radio immediately, but it took a month for me to get information that was totally useless.
And there you go.
And totally, absolutely correct. But
and that's Microsoft. Hey, Bob, we're at the bottom of the hour, so we're going to take a commercial break, and then we'll continue on. Of course, you're listening to the musings and pontification of Bob, Dr. Mac LeVitus. He is our correspondent. He's here with us for the hour. 347-884-8881 if you want to get through to him. We have another News Fistful review from Marty Winston coming up as well. This is the Computer America Show. We'll be right back.
Sometimes disaster strikes. Data can be lost due to many different reasons. Accidental reformatting, power spikes, virus attacks. Zero Assumption Recovery provides a suite of highly effective and thorough data recovery software for Windows operating systems. ZA is suitable for home users and small businesses who need a powerful data recovery solution for Windows and Linux file systems.
Go to z-a-recovery.com.
Sometimes disaster strikes. Data can be lost due to many different reasons. Accidental reformatting, power spikes, virus attacks. Zero Assumption Recovery provides a suite of highly effective and thorough data recovery software for Windows operating systems. ZA is suitable for home users and small businesses who need a powerful data recovery solution for Windows and Linux file systems.
Go to z-a-recovery.com.
Hi, this is Craig Crossman, host of the Computer America Show. You have important meetings to schedule. Your company's getting ready for its IPO, and you're in charge of the PTA fundraiser this month. So how do you coordinate everyone to be available at the same time? Are you still using emails, phone calls, even text messages to schedule meetings with a group of people? How's that working out for you? Not so great, huh? It's a fact that every day, millions of people suffer from scheduling headaches. Well, with Doodle, scheduling meetings with a group of people is quick and easy. With Doodle, you can easily propose available times to each member. Each one checks off the times that they're available, and then you simply pick the time that works best for the group, all in an easy-to-read display that integrates with your existing calendar. Nothing could be more simple. Give Doodle a try for free, and like millions of Doodle users, you'll truly see how easy it is to find the perfect date and time for all your meetings. That's www.doodle.com.
Big blonde hair, small hands, lots of TV time. Who? Charo?
Hi, Marty Winston with a News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America. This time, the Limitless Innovation 7-port Charge Hub. Whenever we get a charging device, we like to start with the math. Limitless Innovation sent their Charge Hub 7-port USB charging station. Its power transformer is rated for 44 watts, roughly 1.2 amps per port if they were all ever pulling down all they could. In real life, with most ports pulling more nominal draws, some of the ports could pull as much as 2.4 amps. That's good service, a lot better than we've seen from many USB power products. With this, of course, there's a plus in having 7 available power ports all in one place. Bottom line, the Limitless Innovations Charge Hub offers USB charging to the 7th power. Marty Winston, News Tips Bulletin for Computer America.
Welcome back to the Computer America Show. It is, no, I'm not hearing you, Ben. So, okay, he dropped out. But it is 33 minutes past the hour, and Ben and I are talking to Bob, Dr. Mac LeVitus. And he is the with the Houston Chronicle, the Mac Observer, and just basically all-around pontificator. And we've been talking about the big Apple event that just recently happened, and he's sort of finishing up his review of Office 365 for
And how
2016.
even as a Mac user, he was tricked into talking with Microsoft tech support, which is a fallacy I think we all have fallen for once in a while.
Yeah, didn't have a good experience with them, right, Bob? I take it.
No, nope. I think Microsoft tech support might be one of those oxymorons like jumbo shrimp.
Okay.
Like I use Windows all the time, and I have never received a correct answer from Microsoft themselves. Like there's a reason that the third-party tech support service website, forum, what have you, is so popular. Is that I've never received like, oh, Microsoft has this new thing out, and here's how you fix it, blah blah blah. They have never done that. They can cause problems, but they'll never fix one for you. That's what third parties are for.
That's the nice thing about working with Apple stuff is most of the time it just works. That's the part that I like the best.
Which surprised me a little bit here because you believe that iTunes must die, and you think it's so high. You think it's so convincingly that you actually wrote a song called "iTunes Must Die." Now, first of all, why do you think iTunes must die? I mean, does this have anything to do with the streaming is the future of music? I mean, why? What's going on?
Well, no. I think iTunes has gotten so bloated, and the interface is so inconsistent and incomprehensible, with little dotted things that you got to press in certain places, right clicks in certain places. Some stuff's hidden unless you know the secret incantation to make it show up on screen again. And it's trying to do so many things. It's stores, it's streaming, it's storage, it's playback, it's what controls syncing with your iDevices.
Yes, it does.
It does too much. It's trying to do too much, and it's starting to not do much of it well. It's pretty good for streaming music. I like listening to Apple Music on it, but I hate having to sync anything or do anything to do with my iDevices.
Well, thank goodness now, of course, you don't have to. I used to be, you had to get anything updated on your iPhone, you had to dock it to your Mac and use iTunes to bring everything up to date. Fortunately, you don't have to do that anymore. You can do it over the air, without syncing. You can sync directly. Even the operating. Yeah. When I went to 9.3, it already did it. I just found it. I didn't have to do anything. It just did it for me, and it was there.
So just for kicks, I plugged into iTunes to see how long that 9.3 update would take.
Yeah.
And it was going to take 5.5 hours on iTunes. So I took my phone, I unplugged it from the computer, I set it down, and I did it over Wi-Fi, and it took 22 minutes. So iTunes must die. And you can buy the single at Amazon.com. Unfortunately, you cannot buy it at the iTunes store. It was, for some mysterious reason, rejected.
They wouldn't put it on iTunes, really?
No, and if you want to buy the song that was banned by the iTunes store, you'll find it on Amazon.com.
Ben, does that surprise you?
No, actually.
Okay.
And you can go to, if you want, you can go to iTunesMustDie.com and sign my petition. I'm hoping to get 1 million people. I want to have the 1 million-person march on iTunes Must Die. It'll be virtual. We're just going to bring the petition to Apple.
Are you trying to place yourself on Apple's do not talk list anymore? I mean,
poop list? No.
Yes. No.
No. But every once in a while, you got to poke the dragon.
Poke the bear.
Just to see.
Exactly. I remember the old days.
I don't think anyone there is paying attention, and I think someone there actually bought a copy of the song.
In the old days, I remember Apple used to seriously seek out press and would do everything and invite them, and then that's sort of like went away.
For you, maybe.
Well, for a lot of people, no, just people in general.
Well,
I mean,
for a lot of Apple, the press comes to Apple. It's
press seems
fair
to go
enough.
to.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. But
They-
Apple has been, they've known me a long time, but
They've
they've
known me
been
a-
pretty good about letting me borrow stuff to review.
Yeah, no, they do the same thing too. I have my contacts there. But
I may give them back their iPad Pro if they're nice.
but they're not as their relationship with the press isn't what it used to be.
Well, yeah, and there's more of us than there ever were before, and they have worldwide demand to deal with. Even I don't get everything they make like right when it comes out. I have to fight with the other journalists to get one, and a lot of times it's a month or 2 months until somebody else has already borrowed it, written about it, and sent it back before I get it. It's the way it goes, You know who to talk to. Just tell her, put me on the list.
So tell us about.
Put me on the list, and my name again is Aardvark AA, Mr. AA-son, and I would like that as soon as you can. Thank you.
Assuming alphabetical order is still the precedent. Yeah, exactly.
I assume.
Now,
Not the case.
Okay. So you recently wrote a blog post called "Confessions of a Serial Procrastinator." So, if you're a serial procrastinator, how did you write 78 books?
That is the secret that I'm going to share with Mac users, because it is amazing that I've written 78 books. I'm like the poster child for adult ADD. People who know me know I can't stay on a topic for more than a minute. I bounce from topic to topic like a ping pong ball. I can't sit still. I don't know if you can see there, but I'm tapping my foot while I'm talking to you, and it's just the way I am. It's amazing that I've written 78 books, but what happened was I realized a long time ago that I was different, and I had to figure something out that would help me, because I'm not stupid, I just have ADD. and my inclination is to find anything to do except work. So I taught myself how to get my work done before I goof off. It used to be the other way around. I would goof off until my deadline was so close I could not avoid it. And then I would work until my deadline, and I'd do bad work and be miserable. So I learned how to parcel work out and get way more done. And so, the older I've gotten, the more I've realized that you don't have to have ADD to have problems with productivity, especially when you sit in front of a computer all day. I mean, cat videos are compelling. So you're working and, you're trying to get stuff done, but those cat videos are one click away, or whatever it is that's your rabbit hole. And so I thought, a lot of the stuff I do is just common sense, but if you do all of these things, you'll get twice as much work done. So there's I see it as there's three things that you can work on. One is procrastination. Look, there's a cat video. Procrastination, when you do something other than what you should be doing. Another one is, and time management is a misnomer, because we don't manage our time. We manage activities within time, but time is time. There's 1,440 minutes in a day, every day, period. You can't manage that. What you can manage is what you do with those minutes. So I've learned to, make all the things that are important things that get done first. So I prioritize mercilessly, and I have a lot of things. Lists. I like to have lists. I like to use a Pomodoro timer. You know the Pomodoro technique?
No.
So I love that. Oh,
Okay.
Pomodoro is great. Yeah, it's you use a timer and you go in 25-minute spurts. And the deal is, you only work on one thing. You don't multitask, and you don't get up or answer the phone or do anything else. And if you do, you have to start over the 25 minutes. But you pretend your butt is glued to the chair, because that's the secret of being a writer.
All right.
Pretend your butt's glued to the chair, and you will produce 78 books in 25 years. Or you could. So I started a website and a newsletter, and I'm writing about this as much as I can because productivity, being able to do more work in less time, the ability to finish earlier so you have more time to do things you like to do is pretty compelling, and I can help a lot of people with this. I've got lots and lots of, I bet I can save people an hour a week. That adds up to a lot. That's like 50 hours, 52 hours a year. That's like a work week and then some.
Well,
What would you do with all that extra time, Craig?
probably do a talk show.
I gave you an extra week every year.
Binge watch more Daredevil, I'm sure.
Yeah. I don't know. Do you
Been there, done that.
have you watched the second season? Have you seen it?
Not yet.
Okay.
But
it's
good. It's in the queue. I have to finish Gotham still. I'm not done with Gotham. When I finish Gotham, right to Daredevil.
Okay. Okay. So tell me a little bit. I mean, what do you think is going to be coming out in September? You think that obviously the iPhone 7? I've heard, and I know I just like to speculate a little bit. You know, the three things that I hear for the iPhone 7 is going to be wireless charging, wireless earbuds, and water resistance built into it. Those are rumors I've heard. Have you heard anything more? Or?
I read the same rumor sites you do, and nobody at Apple talks to us. So I never get any of these rumors from the horse's mouth. I get them in the same place everyone else does. All three are plausible. And, here's the thing. Wireless headsets, I don't know about that. I think it's Lightning connector or wireless. And I don't think they're going to come with wireless headsets because that's going to jack the cost up of an already expensive
Do we need wireless? Do you think we need wireless earbuds?
Well, they're really convenient. I have a couple sets, and I like using them, but I tend to use my wired headset because, A, I think the sound quality is better, and B, with wireless, you've got an issue of you can only be so many feet from your phone.
But with the
wired, you're taking the phone with you wherever you go. You're never going to get out of range, right?
Exactly.
No, I'm serious. Like, I'll put my phone down and I'll walk into the next room and it'll go, oops. So I'm not a big fan. However, when I go out for walks with my dog, I like the wireless more than the wires because the wired ones get tangled up in the leash sometimes.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's
they have a place.
What about wireless charging?
Doesn't do much for me. I mean, I don't really care. The thing about wireless charging is you still have to put your phone in a specific place for a specific amount of time. The difference is you don't have to go like that. But, it's not like it charges wirelessly while it's in your pocket. You got to put it on its induction mat to charge it. So for me, it's not that big a deal to plug in a little plug to charge my phone. I'm used to it. I guess it's progress, but I mean, that's a real first world problem.
Okay. So
they're really trying to, it feels like, kickstart this whole, your phone does not need any wires anymore. It's completely magic. Like, they're trying to cut even the power cable. It seems like from other rumors.
Well, I suppose that's a good marketing point, but to me, it doesn't. Neither wireless headphones nor wireless charging adds a lot of value to the iPhone to me. I certainly wouldn't upgrade just to get those things. I'll upgrade for other reasons because it'll have a better camera probably.
How about water resistance? No, we have to speak from personal experience there because Ben left this iPhone out in the rain, and had it been in water resistance, nothing would have happened.
That poor little fellow would have been alive today.
Well, we've had water experiences with the kids here. My whole family, at least my two kids, use LifeProof cases now. So they've got waterproof iPhones. They just paid another $80 for theirs. It would be nice to have a natively waterproof iPhone, but what's waterproof? See, I take my iPad with a LifeProof case, and I sit in my hot tub, and do my email, surf the web, buy stuff on Amazon, right in the hot tub, because I got a waterproof case and I'm not afraid to drop it in the water. It won't hurt it.
Mm-hmm.
How waterproof is waterproof? You know, if it's waterproof enough to be submerged for 30 seconds without any damage, I'm good. If it's waterproof enough to get some water on it and not die, well, that's not good enough, because if I'm going to get it in water, I'm going to get it in water over its head, and probably for more than a few seconds. Not on purpose, but, you know, a little water on your phone isn't going to hurt it. The question is, if it falls in something of water and sits for 5 minutes, is it going to be okay? If they do that, that would be great.
Well, even if you leave it out in the rain.
Resistant versus proof.
Well,
Right.
even if you leave it out in the rain, it can damage it, you know, so.
Oh, I'm sure it would.
Yeah. So
resistant would be better than nothing, but
mm-hmm.
I'm going to, I don't know, I used to use a life-proof case, but I decided that at my age I can probably avoid dropping my phone in anything wet. And I switched to the case from Olloclip, so I can use it with all the attachments for my lenses and photography stuff.
That is really
That's more
nice.
important to me now than waterproofness.
Okay. So, have you ever? I'll just bring this up to you. Have you ever noticed when you watch sci-fi movies and they want to show the phones that they always display, or tablets, without exception, totally, they're all transparent. I just know that. I don't know if you noticed that they're all transparent. It gives it a futuristic look. How important do you think that really
Also makes it harder to photograph.
Why do they do that? Do you know? I don't know.
I think you're right, because it looks more spacey, futuristic with see-through innards, and then they can put in some LED lights that flash and stuff, so it looks really kind of
cool, right?
Futuristic.
Would you buy one like that?
A clear one?
Yeah.
Maybe, but the problem is, aren't they made out of like metal? If you got clear metal, I want to hear about it.
Yeah.
Well, the new cool iPhones are made out of plastic, so you know.
Well, what was it, Scotty? You know, from Star Trek, was just transparent aluminum. Don't you remember that from Star Trek? They were transparent. You know. I don't know if you remember, if you're a Star Trek fan, but
Doesn't sound plausible.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay. So basically, so what do you think the future of personal computing, as far as the Mac and the Windows, and now the Mac can run Windows, and Windows still can't run Mac?
I think personal computing is on the decline, and I think a lot of it will get taken over by tablets and handheld devices because it's convenient, and many people don't have a need for a full-blown computer to do the things they need to do. You know, we've gotten so connected with these devices that internet and mail and things like that are arguably a better experience on a tablet than on a PC or Mac. So, you know, I see they're definitely going to go into a long, relatively slow decline, because they'll never go away completely. There's always going to be, you know, that case where you need workstations and you need Macs that have power, and you need, you know, like a newspaper. You're not going to tell everybody there that they're going to now type on glass, you know, or that they're going to have to get Bluetooth keyboards that don't feel like a real keyboard. Or, I mean, I'm very picky about my keyboard. That's Big Bertha there. I have 3 of them on the shelf in case they go out of production, because it's that good.
Really?
I'm very afraid I won't be able to get more of these, or that someday they won't use USB for keyboards anymore.
Yeah. Well, as long as they use the Lightning interface, you know, I would think that would.
Yeah, you know, I haven't tried plugging this into the camera connection kit, but I bet it would work with the iPad. I'm going to take it with on my next trip. I'm packing you, Bertha.
That is a pretty hefty keyboard there, Bob.
It is, but it's so comfortable, and it's just such an intelligent design. For one thing, it angles the other way. Like if you look, the space bar is up high and the function keys are down low, so it slants that way, which is the way my hands go, you know. So it's really comfortable sitting on that keyboard because it faces the right direction. When they put a keyboard with the back end up, you know, so it's like that, then you have to put your wrist like that to type on it, and that's horrible. Really ergonomically stupid. And the other thing is, the keys in the middle, like the T key and the H key and the N key, those are my bigger fingers, and they're bigger keys. So the keys are bigger in the middle, where the fingers are bigger. The ones for my pinkies are a little smaller. And they're curved, which makes it, when I put my hands down, this is how my hands sit, like that. Not like that. So because the keyboard is kind of split, it's so comfortable. If you're going to type for 6 hours or 4 hours, you want this kind of keyboard, or you want, you know, an adjustable keyboard at the very least.
Yeah.
This one's not adjustable. It just happens to be just right for my hands. I love it.
Well, listen, in the last couple
There's two more up there.
In the last couple of minutes, I mean, you've been with Mac Day One, like I've been with Mac Day One since 1984. You had one of the first. Obviously, we saw that 40 years of Mac and everything caused everybody to kind of wax nostalgic and talk about. I mean, I still remember the Lisa commercials that they had. The guy had a Lisa tucked under his arm, you know, walking into an office place. I mean, they had some really fun things and unusual things. So that's 40 years. We don't have to wait 40 years to see some amazing things. Do you think Apple's going to stay pretty much on the same path? I mean, or do you think we're going to see anything different from Apple? Because they used to be the real innovator, and Ben always says Apple isn't innovating anymore. You know, what's your
Really?
thought?
You're going to put me on the spot like that? Okay.
Wait. I thought Phil Schiller said, can't innovate my something at the last keynote. Well, I think they're going to come out with an electric car in about the year 2020. And I think that's kind of what they're moving along to. Yeah, I do.
Because, you know, so many people kind of said, well, you know, a full-blown Apple television, like not just a little TV set-top box kind of, you know, tuner kind of deal, but, you know, a full-blown TV. And they, you know, kind of, you know,
that never made any sense to me, though. That never made any sense to me, and I always said if Apple cracked the DNA of television, it's in a little box that you connect. Because I just couldn't see Apple wanting to get into a commodity business like television sets. They want to control the content, and in order to do that, you don't have to ship big pieces of glass all over the country. So they figured that out, and I think you'll see good things from Apple TV in the coming years. They're working on a lot of improvements that will make it, I think, a pretty good alternative to cable at some point. It's not yet, but it could be. And I do think they're going to make an electric car. You know, I think there's almost no question based on the number of engineers they've poached from places like Tesla, and just the amount of the number of rumors. I just can't believe that they're not doing a car. So
it's fun to see how much tech companies are getting into, you know, something like the car industry. And now, you know, all the excitement from cars isn't, you know, oh, the Mustang has so much horsepower, blah blah blah. No, all the craze in the car world, at least, you know, in size. But yeah, it's self-driving and high tech in cars.
And range. How far can I go on one charge?
Yeah, that too.
Exactly. Well, Bob, listen.
But unfortunately, I'm sure the Apple Car will still be using the Lightning connector. So you have to drive home and you have to find the Apple Lightning connector and plug it into your car.
You need a really long cable, a really long cable.
Still plugs into your computer.
They're going to sell them in, you know, they're going to sell them by the mile. You know, how many miles of cable do you want with that car?
Bob, listen, we're out of time. Again, workingsmarterformacusers.com is the website, or boblevitus.com, or just head over to computeramerica.com. Right there on our homepage, we have a link to Bob's website as well, and you can check it out for yourself. Bob, it has been too long.
That's very kind of you.
We do need to get you back. Don't wait another year or so. Let's get you back on the show. And
anytime. It's always fun.
Okay, Bob. Again, thanks so much for being with us here on Computer America. We'll see you next time, okay?
Have a good one.
Take care. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. All right, there we go.
Bye-bye.
Bob LeVitus, again, Dr. Mac LeVitus, author of 78 books. Wow. That was a lot of fun.
78 books. And
Yeah.
a self-admitted procrastinator. I think he can ditch that title now.
Yeah. He figured out how not to procrastinate. Hey, we got a lot of interesting news stories. Here, I'm just going to tease a couple. Here's a story about how to get an Xbox One with 2 games. An Xbox One for under $300. Wow. Okay. And we got some other things. Intel formally kills its TikTok approach to processor development.
Yeah, because as you know, Intel, they go with the TikTok approach, as in 1 year's a tick, 1 year's a talk, and there's something to that. But they finally killed that because a couple of factors. But Moore's law is just getting harder and harder to meet.
Yeah, and Google has yanked the Chrome app launcher for Windows, Mac, and Linux. Why did they do that? We'll tell you when we come back. And also, is your wireless mouse a security threat? All right, we're going to take a short break, and then we'll come back with these stories and more when we do computer and technology news, brought to you by Slimware Utilities. Also, another news tip bulletin review from Marty Winston. That's all coming up in hour 2 of the Computer America Show. We're going to be right back.
Broadcasting live. It's the only national radio talk show on computers to air every weeknight. Computer America. Hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. The first hour's behind us, but there's still more of tech news, tech talk, and your phone calls. We're being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. You got computer problems? Bring them on. You're listening to Computer America. Computers run the world, and we run computers. Call us or send us an email to live@computeramerica.com.
Hello and welcome into hour 2 of the nation's longest running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers. This is the Computer America Show, and I'm your host, Craig Crossman.
And I'm your co-host, Ben.
And we continue on in the second hour. Again, we had Bob, Dr. Mac LeVitus, joining us in the first hour, columnist for the Houston Chronicles. And it was a lot of fun having him here on the show. If you missed any portion of the program, remember that you can always listen to archives of our radio talk show. You can listen to us in SoundCloud, Stitcher, Apple's iTunes, all carry it. The Blog Talk Radio Network, IRN Radio Network, TuneIn Radio Network. You can always listen to us live. Anything if you don't know, just go to ComputerAmerica.com. We have all the links to all the different places where you can hear the show. So, some interesting insights from Bob, I thought, and of
course the fun thing about having someone like Bob on the show is that unlike some of our guests, if you are interested, there is further reading. So he writes articles, as I said, for places like the Mac Observer and a couple other places, and he writes lots and lots of books. So if you're interested, go check those out, because he does seem like a very funny guy, and I'm sure that comes across in his writing.
He is funny. Last time we had him on, he'd written 65 books, and now I just updated.
Now he's 78.
78 books, yeah, exactly. So
13 books a year.
Yeah, exactly.
Not bad.
That's pretty good. That's very good. All right. Well, we have a lot of good stories to talk about. Again, I know you mentioned the opening show that Batman versus Superman is not going to be as exciting, but I
unfortunately not receiving critical acclaim.
Yeah. Well,
from what I'm gathering, and again, no spoilers, but the trailers were too spoilery. Actually, if you've seen the trailers, unfortunately, you're not going to be too impressed with the movie. And everyone's saying it's an okay action film, but when you mix IP such as Batman and Superman, and you give it a budget of like $250 million, you kind of hope for a little bit more than an okay action film. So I'm just saying, lower your expectations and you'll come away happy.
Mm-hmm.
As you should do with everything in life. Your marriage, your house, your job, your professional life, your kids. Lower your expectation of your kids, and you'll come away happy when they are mediocre.
Okay.
It's all I'm saying.
I see.
Also with Batman and Superman.
Okay. Well, I think we should get started. So let's do some computer news on the show. Today's computer and technology news is brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. You can visit them at slimwareutilities.com to clean, speed up, and optimize your Windows system. Slimwareutilities.com. Check them out. You'll be happy that you did, and you'll thank us for it. Really. Slimwareutilities.com.
All right, so I think for the first story that we're going to kick off, we're going to go with something that may just save the planet as we know it. Or it could just be something we talk about for 10 minutes and then never hear of again. But one or the other. This is coming from the good people over at MIT, the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. Very, very reputable. But this article comes from Minds. And yeah, MIT scientists develop solar towers that create 20 times the energy output of flat panels. So again, if you're watching the video portion, you can actually see these, the solar kind of towers here in the background. But yeah, scientists at MIT have experimented with and produced extremely efficient solar panels that are capable of tracking the movement of the sun and producing extremely large amounts of power. And of course, so by building vertical towers, the panels were able to track the sun more efficiently while it was close to the horizon, as well as during changes in seasons. Of course, different permutations of the design yielded anywhere from double to 20 times the output with the same surface area of paneling. So not only does the new design offer a more consistent flow of electricity from those that need it, the panels can be 3D printed. Though they do cost more than flat panels, the increase in energy output outweighs the cost. It also allows people to build multiple towers next to each other instead of a singular flat panel. So yeah, the study was documented in Energy and Environmental Science, which is a journal. So the value of this new model is made possible because of the drastic drop in the cost of solar panels over the last decade, saying that even 10 years ago, the idea wouldn't have been economically justifiable because the modules cost so much. And that was from Jeffrey Grossman, who led the study, says. But now, he adds, the cost of silicon cells is a fraction of the total cost, a trend that will continue downward in the near future. So yeah, the thing leading this revolution in experimenting and design is that, I guess back in the day when flat solar panels were all the rage, was because that was the most economically viable way to produce them. It was probably much, much easier, and you could kind of have one giant panel and you could call it a day. But now that they're so cheap to make, you can start experimenting with different designs and different structures and things like that. And yeah, if the trend goes down, like the article says, solar panels may just be, a better economic move than, really still buying electricity from the electricity company. I mean, at what point does, this solar tower, as they have here, or even a solar panel, let's say the solar tower cost you $10,000, but over the course of 3 years, it will pay for itself. And then over the course of, the expected life of the tower, which could be, 10, 15, 20 years, it's going to actually give you returns on that initial investment. I mean, how much longer until solar cells are so economical that it only makes sense to purchase these things? I can see, and with devices like the Tesla Powerwall, Powerwall. Storing the energy has really become much, much easier. Now that we have instead of having giant batteries stored all around your house, now you can go to one company with a very, very good solution and, combine this with better solar panels. And there you go. You have a completely economical way of getting solar. So I'm excited to see what happens in the next couple of years when, purchasing a solar panel, tower, what have you, becomes kind of a short-term investment. Whereas right now it's kind of, oh, you can get off the grid and blah blah blah. But even if you're not, concerned about the grid, or you're concerned about the apocalypse, or whatever reason to purchase solar powers in the past, what happens when purchasing a solar panel is just good money sense, when it's just going to be a good investment. So
Going to be a pretty good investment now. I mean,
yeah, they're probably there now, but I mean, a couple of years when they're even cheaper and they're even more economical, how many people are going to jump in? Not because, let's throw out all the arguments of you're going to save the planet, you're going to be off the grid, you're going to be, stormproof, whatever, blah blah blah. What happens when the best argument is you're going to save money?
Okay, all right, you can't argue with that. It's been in the news. Apple led with it with a statement of their meeting in this past Monday. Well, according to this story here from Engadget, it looks like this is John Fingus wrote this. The FBI is turning to a forensic software maker to crack the terrorist iPhone. And basically, they're asking this company to do what Apple won't do. Okay, and
this had a couple of turns in this whole saga of the FBI wants Apple to release a version of the iOS that will let them crack into the iPhone, into a password protected iPhone. And there were a few story, plot points that we missed over the course of the weekend and whatnot. But I would say the most relevant one from last time we covered this to this story is that Tuesday, yesterday, Apple was supposed to go to court with the FBI, and they were supposed to battle it out, legally, and say, and really set a precedent. And FBI pulled back. They said, we don't want to go to court. We withdraw our claim. We're not going to court over this at all. So, and now today, here's the story.
Well, yeah, and do you think the reason they pulled out is because they figured they can bank on this company, Cellbrite, to do?
No, not really. I think there's a general consensus among the places, at least that I visit and read, is that the FBI weren't going to set the precedent that they wanted. The FBI wanted one where they forced Apple to hand over essentially the keys to the car and hand over everything to the FBI, so that in the future the FBI can say, well, as shown by this court case and this court case, this is something that private companies have to help the U.S. government in. And there was a lot of backlash about how out of touch the FBI was with this particular case, and I think they kind of saw the writing on the wall. They saw that they weren't going to win this case. So Apple pulled back, saying, okay, we don't want to do this. And, there are other theories that include, the FBI already have the information. They just wanted to set the precedent so that, in the future, they don't have to be so surreptitious about it, or, XYZ. But I think the most obvious, conclusion is that the FBI knew they were not going to win the court case.
Well, this story from John Fingus, maybe in that realization, they're trying alternative things to do, because according to the story, when the Department of Justice and the FBI said that they'd found another way to infiltrate the San Bernardino terrorist iPhone 5C without asking Apple to weaken its security, they raised the big question: just who was this third party that they were talking about? Well, again, according to Engadget, he thinks that he might have a good idea, because after today, Israel's Yedoith Aronoff claims that the FBI is getting help from Cellbrite. This is an Israeli firm that specializes in phone-oriented forensic software to extract data from the terrorist's phone. So if the company manages to crack the contents of the device, it won't have any reason to pester Apple, at least about the iPhone. Okay, I mean, if they're able to, this company is able to get the information that they need from any iPhone, well, I guess Apple's sort of off the hook. and the FBI is going to get what it wants. Now, none of the parties involved with this story have commented on the report so far. Engadget is asking the FBI if it can confirm any of the details. However, there's a real chance that Cellbrite might be able to pull this off. Its forensic skills include physically extracting the memory of locked iOS devices and examining the contents. So it might save the FBI a lot of trouble here. So that begs the question, why didn't the FBI turn to companies like Cellbrite before demanding that Apple write purposefully insecure software? Well, there's no official explanation, but some suspect that the FBI was pretending to be naive in order to set a precedent. If it could compel Apple to write software to get into one iPhone, it could routinely ask Apple to crack iPhones instead of turning to security experts. If so, the decision to ask Cellbrite for help may be an admission that this strategy wasn't going to work. But I mean, there's so much.
But of course, let's face it. This is the FBI. This is a government agency by what really, one of the most powerful governments in the world. You can be dang sure they already have, and you can ask Charles Tindall because this is kind of, it was kind of his bag. You can be dang sure that they have people on the payroll who are the best in the industry at cracking iPhones, cracking programs, writing malware, all that kind of stuff. This is kind of their job, is information gathering. And why would the FBI have to go to a third-party source? I think this is just, smoke and mirrors. Throw up and saying, all right, so we're not giving up. Apple, don't think we're giving up. No. It's just we don't want to take this to court. So I don't think it's one of two things. It's either the FBI already has a way into the phone and they don't want to admit it, that it was kind of their solution, or they don't have a way into the phone and they don't want to admit defeat to Apple, so they're not going to take it to court. Either way, they're having a really hard time, finding getting this information, which even the head of the FBI at one point said the information on this phone is probably minimally important at best. So
that may be very true. I'm surprised that this doesn't fall under the purview of the NSA or even the CIA. I was surprised when I heard the FBI because of the international overtures to this problem. And
the FBI is, pretty well known for its seedy dealings.
Yeah, but you see things like the NSA, they're really into code cracking. That's what they do. And I would have thought that it would have been more.
Not technically. The NSA is into mass information gathering. So, the NSA, the NSA, honestly, probably if they went through all their databases, probably already have the information on there when it was first created, but they don't have the information directly from the phone, which is what they need.
Well, regardless, I think that this is an interesting article and it brings up a couple of interesting points.
Again, it's technology in an era where we rushed headlong into it. We are under constant surveillance, and at the end of the day, I'm sure they have this information in one place or another. I'm sure they have access to this information. It's just bringing it up legally is a quite a different thing than just gathering the information. So,
well, there it is. So you think that legally is one point, but you think surreptitiously they already have a way. They've already gotten the information.
Oh, probably. From what we've known and for what we've seen from government agencies over the past 6-7 years, and how much they are actually, being invasive into the citizens' lives. Yeah, I have no doubt that they have this information somewhere. It's just, like they said, it's probably not very useful. So, even if they did have it, they probably, really don't have a use for it. But they wanted to set that, that precedent of, hey, Apple, we need it into this iPhone for national security's sake. Let us into this iPhone, and then they're hoping that they get into the iPhone pretty easily, and then they can just keep going back to Apple with court orders saying, let us into this iPhone, and this iPhone, and this iPhone, and then basically all iPhones. So, still at any rate, yay for Apple for, standing up at least a little bit to privacy. And the story I'm sure is going to keep evolving, but it seems to have tapered off a bit with the FBI running into the same roadblock they've been hitting for the longest time.
And we'll keep covering it. We'll keep following it as things develop, because
it's fun. It's fun to see a multinational corporation take on a government agency. It's it's kind of like watching two wrestlers. It's like, wow, they're both really powerful, but they're not getting anywhere.
Yeah. All right.
Okay then. Let's move on to. I'm actually pretty interested.
I think we lost Ben.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, there we are. Okay, we hear you now. Okay.
Sorry, a little bit of lag. But yeah, so Intel, friends of the show, as you all know, because they sponsor us. Yay. But actually, didn't one of the Intel founders just unfortunately pass away?
Yes, he did. Yeah, exactly.
I wish I had his name on hand. Andrew S. Grove.
Yes.
Yes, there we go. So yeah, Andrew S. Grove, one of the original founders of Intel, unfortunately passed away. 2 days ago. That's when it was. And of course, he was a former Intel CEO. So he wasn't acting when he passed away, but still, I'm sure he did a lot of things for Intel. But Intel, they are now changing course with their whole TikTok approach. And this is very, very interesting because, let's face it, when it comes to microprocessors, Intel pretty much corners the market. Like there's AMD, but even AMD is comparing a kitten to a lion. It's the scale of this is completely off. So nearly 10 years ago, by the way, pulling this from Realtek Today, and yeah, nearly 10 years ago, Intel formally unveiled the new design and manufacturing process it would use for its microprocessors. So before 2007. There was no exact predictable alignment between the deployment of new manufacturing techniques at smaller process nodes and the debut of new architectures. So from 2007 forward, Intel followed a distinct cadence. New processor nodes would be designated as TICs, and new architecture built on the same process node would be called TOCs, hence tick-tock. So while Intel said that the latest 14-nanometer chips were a 2.5-year cycle, it plans to introduce 3 different 10-nanometer chips yearly. That's with the 3-step PAO. PAO. That slows the pace of innovation by effectively a third, meaning consumers will have to wait an extra year before they see significant speed improvements. What you gonna do? So the third year of a chip's life cycle will likely see smaller performance gains, giving power users and gamers who have become critical consumers less reason to upgrade. Yeah. So the new process is a direct result of the difficulty in building chips with traces that are 20 silicon atoms wide.
My gosh.
Okay. The size of that, it's only like seriously, we're getting to the point where we're counting atoms. Not inches, not nanometers, not whatever. It's atoms. So, they're saying that we expect to lengthen the amount of time we will utilize our 14-nanometer and our next generation 10-nanometer process technologies, further optimizing our products and process technologies while meeting the yearly market cadence for product introductions. So, while
I'm going to say, they're butting up against physical limitations, yet we still have to have improvements. We still have to, but I know they're working on other techniques, other technologies where it's not necessarily the size, they're getting down to,
14 nanometer, they have done pretty well, but this will be another, they said last year, this year will be another year of 14 nanometer architecture, for all their processors. And we actually had a rep from the processor division from Intel, and they were talking about how their research and development, their cutting edge stuff, they are working on 7 nanometer. Like that's like the newest of the new. Is they're finally starting to experiment with 7 nanometer chips. And of course, they finally got out of research and development, and now they're going to get into full-blown production of the 10 nanometer chips. And of course, the smaller the processors, and from 14 to 10, that takes less power. You can fit more processors on it, and things just get more efficient, more powerful, and all that good stuff.
But here's my point, Ben. And I asked this of him, I believe, but the point is, let's say they get to 10, they get to 7 nanometer, okay? But even if they get down to 1 nanometer, okay, eventually you can't go negative nanometer. That's the smallest you can get. So they're gonna butt heads up against physical limitations. They have to find some other technique or process if they want to continue to develop new processors, and it's not going to be necessarily size or is going to be the matters. They're going to find other alternatives to making superior processors. And I know Intel is working on a couple of techniques which are completely totally different. And of course, there's also quantum technology, which is going to bring things down. They're going to have to eventually.
They're doing research into all that, and they, I'm sure, are pouring lots and lots of resources into that, because whatever the next step is going to be very, very important for processor technology. And Intel, I'm sure, wants to be at the head of that. But at the same time, they're a consumer-driven company. They aren't a research and development firm. They have to, meet deadlines and release new products and all that kind of stuff. So they can't really spend too much time waxing poetic about how our current technology is insufficient for our future needs. They need to say that, hey, this new processor that we just made is the best, fastest, newest, and it's awesomest.
Right.
So,
well, one of their competitors is TSMC. It says right here they're planning to come out with a 5 nanometer chip by 2020.
Right.
No. But again, eventually they're going to run out of nanometers. They're going to be down to 1 nanometer.
One thing that they were able to do to kind of improve the lifespan of the 14 nanometer was that they had the 14 nanometer, and then I think they found a way to layer them too thick. Yeah. So the processing power doubled with just that little improvement. So things like layering can help with that kind of thing. And I'm sure there's other like new materials that they're experimenting with. I mean, there are innovations that can come using the same architecture and the same designs, but with new materials and new processes and new this and new that. You can still use the same stuff, even if you get down to 1 nanometer, and then you can start innovating with the same thing in other ways while you discover. And I'm sure, Craig, it's on the tip of your tongue. It was on the tip of my tongue. Quantum processing.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, there are ways to innovate with the current structures of processors.
Well, here's the thing. What's going to happen, I think, after they reach the nanometer and they get down to 1 nanometer, then the next step, they're going to have to split it. Then it's going to be picometers, because 1,000, if you take 1 nanometer and divide it with 1,000, the next step down is pico. So then we'll go into the picometer.
Oh, and we have plenty of pico room. So, yeah.
And then they got the femtometer and otto and zepto and yocto. I mean, so they can keep going smaller and stuff. But I think they're going to hit some physical limitation at that point, and they're going to have to find some other way of doing it.
Well, eventually you're going to get the size of atoms, and unfortunately,
now I think they're there
when
now.
you have to create things with atoms, it's kind of hard to make things smaller than atoms when you need more than 1 atom.
Exactly. But we are going to see it. Eventually, we'll see what they're doing. And we're going to.
But the main thrust of this article was that for a lot of people out there, the TikTok cycle was very indicative of when you purchased a processor, and for like I said, for gamers, and I know that I've experienced this. They come out with a new with a new structure, and it could be like Ivy Bridge or Devil's Canyon or what have you, and then you kind of look at it and say, okay, so this is the first generation, so you can either buy that one and it's going to be an improvement over anything before it, or you can wait 12 months, 10 months, what have you, and buy the next generation of the same type of architecture, which is essentially going to be the best version of that architecture. And then you're going to be outclassed, but at least you're going to be a little bit future-proof compared to the first generation. Now, you're going to have to add in an extra year into that cycle.
Yeah.
About, do you want to kind of future-proof yourself but still be, a little bit behind the 8 ball, or do you want to jump on early to the newest, most powerful, architecture, but then be outclassed, for the next 2 or 3 years? So it adds another step into that process, which a lot of people who purchase their processors based on that are going to have to, get used to.
Okay. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. We don't have, well, I can kind of hint what we're coming up because we're coming up to the bottom of the hour break. But one of the stories I'm going to kind of lead with is Google yanks the Chrome app launcher for Windows, Mac, and Linux. And Paul Lilly, who did the article, says, you weren't using it anyway. Why?
Google has a lot of stuff. You can't use everything.
Yeah, I told you I had the Google Drive app. I got rid of it because basically you can just do it right on the website with your browser because of HTML5.
Exactly.
Don't need that. And there are a lot of things, and this is yet another one. We're going to take a little quick break. We've got a new Syspool review coming up as well, and then we'll be back with another half hour of the Computer America Show. Please stay with us. Hi, this is Craig Crossman, host of the Computer America Show. You have important meetings to schedule. Your company's getting ready for its IPO, and you're in charge of the PTA fundraiser this month. So how do you coordinate everyone to be available at the same time? Are you still using emails, phone calls, even text messages to schedule meetings with a group of people? How's that working out for you? That's so great, huh? It's a fact that every day, millions of people suffer from scheduling headaches. Well, with Doodle, scheduling meetings with a group of people is quick and easy. With Doodle, you can easily propose available times to each member. Each one checks off the times that they're available, and then you simply pick the time that works best for the group, all in an easy-to-read display that integrates with your existing calendar. Nothing could be more simple. Give Doodle a try for free, and like millions of Doodle users, you'll truly see how easy it is to find the perfect date and time for all your meetings. That's www.doodle.com. Looking for a best friend? Brother Wolf Animal Rescue has your best friend waiting just for you. The mission of Brother Wolf Animal Rescue is to help build a sustainable, no-kill community where no dogs or cats are ever killed for population control, where true euthanasia is reserved only for animals who are irremediably suffering or for animals who are truly a threat to society and with no hope of rehabilitation. Brother Wolf's staff and volunteers go door to door, neighborhood by neighborhood, to educate citizens about local resources available for at-risk pets and to help their families connect with those resources. Brother Wolf's community-based approach to no-kill helps keep family pets healthy, happy, and in their homes and out of the local shelter system in the first place. For more information or to make a tax-deductible donation to this wonderful 501c3 organization, visit their website at www.bwar.org. Help to realize Brother Wolf's vision when no animal is euthanized for lack of a home.
Who's a good boy?
I wanted to plead the fifth, but I already drank it. Oh, hi, Marty Winston with the News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America. This time, the Carrier Core Wi-Fi thermostat. Initially, it's square and it's pretty. And if you don't have Wi-Fi, that's a lot of what the Carrier Core thermostat has to offer. But for the rest of us, there's a lot more, starting with a 4-day local weather forecast on its color touchscreen. Through its smartphone app, you can modify its settings and see its energy reports. It can respond to your home or away or vacation status times, and you can set and adjust how many degrees it's set back. Replacing most thermostats is just a few minutes work, and it can work with Carrier 3-zone panel systems. So bottom line, the Wi-Fi Carrier Core thermostat adds to what you and your thermostat can control and from where. Marty Winston, News Tips Bulletin for Computer America.
Welcome back to the Computer America Show here with you, Miss Bastiauer. Hopefully you can hear me. But yeah, we are doing computer and technology news brought to you by Slimmer Utilities. And yeah, we are all over the roadmap, as we've talked about solar cells, and we talked about Apple and the FBI, and we talked about and all this other kind of good stuff. And now we're just about to get into Google Chrome, and the app, according to Paul Lilly from Max and PC, that you were not using is no longer there. So, Greg, please.
So again, Paul asks, show of hands, how many of you out there are using Google's Chrome app launcher on your Windows desktop? 1, 2, 3. No. Okay. What about your Linux box or anybody on a Mac using the Chrome app launcher? Well, guess what? He says, don't worry. He didn't hack into your webcam to see if you're actually raising your hand. But basically, Google has come up with the conclusion that no one is using it. So it's retiring its Chrome app launcher on Windows, Linux, and Mac. Now, if you haven't used it before, you're not giving up anything or losing anything. But basically, the app launcher makes Chrome, the web browser, apps easy to open outside of the browser. But, basically, people prefer to launch their apps from within Chrome. Why not? With HTML5, you can do that now. I think this was the throwback to the before HTML5 came out, and it didn't have all this robust features that it lends the browser. So with Chrome's continued emphasis on simplicity and streamlining browser features, the launcher will be removed from those platforms. It will remain unchanged on Chrome OS, though, Google stated in a blog post. And it won't happen right away. Google's drawing out the retirement over the next several months. Starting in a few weeks, Chrome will no longer enable the launcher when users first install a Chrome app. Anyone that currently has it installed will receive a notice of Google's plans around the same time. And in July, Google will remove the existing instances of the launcher. With the Chrome app launcher on various desktops, Google was trying to get away from the mental separation of cloud services for local ones. It works in Chrome OS because Chromebooks are highly dependent on internet connections. But on other platforms, hey, users simply prefer to launch Google apps from within Chrome. And that's what happened. And one of the comments under it is someone said, hey, wait, they had an app launcher? That's it. So nothing to worry about. And again, your browser is more than capable of doing everything that the launcher did. So don't be concerned. But we thought we'd let you know about it.
Okay, then. So an app not many people were using, so little lost, nothing gained.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so and now we're going to move over to something I actually saw out at CES, and good to see that they've made headway on it. But yeah, we've been talking a lot about it, and this is from CNET, and this is by Rye Chris. And coming soon, Alexa voice controls for your, and I can say this because it's the name of a company. Don't get mad at me. Don't send us your letters. But Big Ass Fan, who is actually a small segment of the company Haiku, they are smart ceiling fans, and now they're going to get integration for Alexa.
Ah, cool.
So yeah, and by the way, if you've never seen, Big A fans, they are very, very, I don't want to say futuristic, but they're very, very stylish fans. If you've never seen one, and they're the fans that, I don't know if you've ever seen home, like they do, I don't want to say they do modeling, but they're in like a lot of model homes where they're like the fans that are like 12, like have like 12-foot fan blades. Like they are huge fans. So yeah, and actually met Haiku out at CES, and they're Haiku's fans. They're not as big as Big A fans, but they're as stylish, and they cost about $1,500 for a ceiling fan. So they're very, very intelligent, And at CES, they were showing us how they have, motion sensors, light sensors, time of day and programming. They have, air quality sensors. They have temperature sensors. Like these fans are completely chocked to the gills with sensors, so that so it can know if someone's in the room, it'll turn itself on. They know if the air quality is getting too poor, it'll turn itself on. They know if the temperature gets too high, it'll turn itself on. They know if it's if it's a particular time of day to turn itself on. They know all of these different things. And for their next trick, they're going to be integrating with Alexa, which we have talked about many times on the show before.
Yep.
So yeah, Amazon is now set to teach its virtual assistant Alexa how to talk to your ceiling fan. And as we said, the first in line is the Haiku Smart Ceiling Fan from Big A Solutions. And of course, Big A Solutions teased the Alexa integration back in January at CES. The surprising news today is that it'll be a native Alexa integration and not a skill. That means that you won't need to download anything in the Alexa app, and that you won't need to tell Alexa to ask Haiku or anything like that. Instead, you'll just tell her that you want the fan to do, and it will happen.
Mm-hmm.
So the ceiling fan integration is set to arrive April 28th, and it'll work with all Alexa-enabled devices. So once it's here, you'll be able to use your Amazon Echo, Tap, Fire TV, or Echo Dot to turn your fan on or off, to change speeds, or to adjust the brightness of the built-in light. The integration will work with all of Haiku's internet-connected ceiling fans, including the more affordable Haiku L series, as well as the other products such as the smart wall switches and individual lights. But from what I saw out of CES, this is very, very cool.
Yeah, very nice. I like the one that has the fan that has the blue light in the middle. It looks kind of cool.
Right.
Very stylish. Okay, for all you Nintendo fans out there, guess what? We have some news for you, but maybe we don't. It all depends, according to Popular Science. Xavier Harding wrote this article. Nintendo could release the new NX console this year. Okay. In other words, the Wii U's demise could pave the way for this new console, according to the story. Again, Nintendo's home console, the Wii U, will cease production, according to the Japanese newspaper, the Nikkei. It came by the way of the VentureBeat. The successor to the Wii has seen great titles like Mario Kart 8, Super Smash Bros. 4, and level creator Super Mario Maker, but not much success. Okay. But with a Nintendo abandoning the flagship home console product in 2016, it's almost safe to assume that Nintendo will bring their upcoming NX home console to market to replace it. Okay. The Nintendo NX release date, as well as everything else about the NX, remains shrouded in mystery. But Nintendo ending production of the Wii U could mean the next console could follow right after. Unless Nintendo plans on not selling a home console at all, which would be a first for the company since they released it back in 1985. Now, capping the Wii U's life at 4 years may seem like a harsh move for the company, but Nintendo has faced many challenges with the console, to the point where the father of Mario and Zelda admits that the Wii U just hasn't succeeded. Okay. Now, while the console has seen some great games like Splatoon, Xenoblade Chronicles 10, and or X, and the aforementioned titles, it clearly wasn't enough to move units. And with the potential system sellers like Zelda Wii U nowhere to be found, sales of the Wii U are unsurprisingly lower than Nintendo consoles firing on all fronts like the Wii or the N64. But gaming legend Miyamoto has his own thoughts as to why the console didn't succeed. And he actually said, I feel like people never really understood the concept behind the Wii U and what we were trying to do. Because I think the assumption is that we were trying to create a game machine and a tablet, and really what we were trying to do was create a game system that gave you tablet-like functionality for controlling that system and give you two screens that would allow different people in the living room to play in different ways. Unfortunately, because tablets at the time were adding more and more functionality and becoming more and more prominent, this system and this approach didn't mesh well with the period in which we released it.
And that's a fair assessment.
Yeah, I think so. I think it is. Nintendo continues to keep the NX details close to the chest, but with an E3 scheduled for 2016 press conference likely in June, and the Wii U soon to be extinct, all could be released and revealed actually in a matter of months. So we could be finding out in E3, which is also rumored to be winding down. I don't know how many more E3s are going to be out there before it goes by way of Comdex and some of the other conventions. Interesting. But anyway, we shall see if we're going to get more news about the NX coming up at the E3 conference. Okay.
All right. So, yeah, and I hope they really do release it. I mean, Nintendo has unfortunately been behind the eight ball for quite a few years now. So, yeah, hopefully they get this going. Let's see, what's another good story, because we're running so short on time. This news segment's going by so quick. And let's do this one. Let's do no, let's not do that one. I know you're like, yeah, let's do that one. No, folks, you don't want that one. You want this one. You want Sony PlayStation Virtual Reality. We're going to stick with the gaming consoles. And this was a story that was actually released a couple days ago, but we didn't get to it, and I think it's worth mentioning. All right. Saying that the Sony's PlayStation VR pre-orders underscore the growing excitement in virtual reality. This is, again, Paul Lilly and Maxim PC. But yeah, following in the footsteps of the Oculus Rift and the HTC Vive in terms of early adopter excitement, first-run PlayStation VR bundles are seeing high demand. And of course, keep at it though, and you may find that a retailer that was previously showing it had sold out of PlayStation VR bundles suddenly has some additional stock to offer. So, and that was the case with Target and Walmart. And according to multiple websites, both retailers sold out of their allotment of pre-orders earlier today, but both now appear to again be accepting pre-orders yet again. So Amazon was the third retailer that multiple sites said had sold out, and that appears to still be true. So, and of course, Best Buy and GameStop are also accepting pre-orders, but of course, GameStop has the $100 deposit. So put $100 down and then you'll get it. So, yeah, and as we've mentioned before, the first run PlayStation VR bundles will cost about $500, and that comes with the VR headset, a PlayStation camera, a pair of PlayStation Move controllers, stereo headphones, PlayStation VR World Game Disc, PlayStation VR demo disc, and all necessary cables. Of course, you will also need a PlayStation 4 console to use the headset.
Yeah.
So, and the console itself will run you about $300 or about $350.
Mm-hmm.
So, all said and done, you'll be paying about $850 for a complete virtual reality solution, which is, as I said, it won't be as good as something like the HTC Vive or the Oculus Rift or whatnot. They've straight up said, the hardware is not as powerful, but this is in comparison to, the $700 Oculus Rift or the $900 HTC Vive, which, both need to be paired with about a $1,300, $1,400, $1,500 PC to even make work. So, it's a much more affordable solution for virtual reality. It's interesting, and of course, he goes on to say that it's interesting to see such high demand for virtual reality at this early stage. Of course, in Sony's case, the headsets won't even ship until October, which is still months away. And of course, nevertheless, Sony isn't having trouble finding an audience of early adopters who are willing to gamble that things will pan out. And of course, as we said before, the Oculus Rift and the HTC Vive are both receiving similar fanfare, where early adopters are going out in droves. They can't wait to see this technology that we've heard about so much finally make it into the hands of consumers.
Well, they sold 15,000 in the first 10 minutes or something when the thing went.
Yeah, that was the Vive, I think.
Vive, yeah. Certainly, there's a lot of interest out there, and obviously, whatever they get in time for the holidays certainly would be really good too. But anyway, we're in the thick of it. We'll talk about it. Very, very nice. All right, we have time to do another story or two. Yes, I think we do. This is one which I kind of teased. It says from Engadget, you are now free to buy Xbox 360 games on your Xbox One. Ooh, that's nice. Today's Xbox One update kicks it old school. Okay, yes, the Xbox 360 is officially now old school. Today's Xbox One system update adds direct access to Xbox 360 games, making it easier to actually use the console's backward compatibility function. See, before the update, it was unnecessarily difficult to locate and download Xbox 360 titles, but now they'll be available on the console just like current generation games. Isn't that cool? I think that's it. The update also brings party chat to Xbox One Twitch broadcasts, and it allows players to output party chat audio to speakers and a headset simultaneously. Okay, so you can have your headset, and if the people sitting around you want to hear what's going on too, they don't have to have headsets. They can hear it on the speaker.
Yep.
It's what's called party chat. So you have a party. Party chat supports up to 16 people now. So find some new friends stat. Game DVR gets an update too, now allowing players to select recording lanes from 15 seconds to 5 minutes. That's nice. And on top of the previewed features, today's update also improves the precision of the thumbsticks on the Xbox Elite controller, particularly as they are moved diagonally. I don't know if that was something that... Do you have an Xbox Elite controller? I don't know.
Nope.
Okay. So you didn't notice that there was a problem with the diagonal movement. What do you think of this? I mean, that you can now run Xbox 360 games on your Xbox One. Because you're the guy...
They said they were going to, try to do this more often. They, when the Xbox One was first released, they're like, yeah, no real, backwards compatibility with the Xbox 360. And then, a couple of weeks later, because of all the bad press they were getting from, PlayStation 4 and, Sony, and they're like, yeah, we have backwards compatibility. So a couple of weeks later, Microsoft backtracked and said, yeah, we're going to have backwards compatibility as well. And they've been doing it in waves where, they take like the top 100 most popular games and, every couple of months they release another 100 games. But now they are, just going whole hog and saying, hey, anything for the 360 is now coming to your Xbox One. So I feel like this is something that could have been included at the, at the get-go, but it's good that they were finally able to release it, because there is, there are a few people who want that ability to go back. And yes, even though a game is, 7-8 years old, doesn't mean the game is worthless, and are willing to pay, $5-10 to play it again and even own it.
If you're a Halo fan or something, now you can go back and play some of the old Halo Reach or some of the original earlier versions of Halo now on your Xbox One, rather than just only the current version.
It's definitely a niche market that was asking for this, but it's definitely not a market that should be ignored, because hey, people want backwards compatibility, and hopefully with this support comes the fact that hey, if you own any of these games on disc anyways, you should be able to play them on your Xbox One now. So I'm hoping that support goes in there as well.
You have to buy them again, or if you're...
I hope that's not the case. That even if you have a disc copy, that you have to go online and buy it because you can only use the online version with the Xbox One. I hope that isn't the case, and I'm hoping that with this patch, they're able to, just throw in an old disc and play that game.
In other words, if you have the optical media, your Xbox One will be able to read it and play it.
Again, that's what I'm hoping.
Yeah. Okay. But they don't make it clear in this article as to how that's going to work.
Nope.
All right, but
I mean, it might be something as simple as a patch that for every game that you put in there, you would have to patch every old game, and while that would suck, hey, at least you get to play it. But we will see.
Yeah, do you have one of the older Xbox 360?
I don't have any of my old games here. I have an Xbox One sitting right here in front of me. I don't have any old hardware. I'm sorry, old disc to try it out on.
They're all the location. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be tried. Okay.
All right.
All
So
right.
We have time for one or two more news stories, and let's try this one. This one is interesting because it's and I was gonna do the one about Martha Stewart now exclusively rides hoverboards because gotta save time, but instead we're gonna do this one about Google Maps. It's a great little service if you've never spent time playing on Google Maps and seeing how fast you can get the Earth to spin, then you haven't lived the internet life yet. But it's one from Popular Science, and Google Maps moves the world's borders depending on who's looking. That's interesting.
Yeah.
So Google and a new paper looks at how the online service could foster international disputes. So, of course, does Google Maps reflect national borders or does it create them? What are the political and legal ramifications when a country disagrees with the map? And that's what a new paper called Google's World and in the Columbia Journal of Transnational Law examines. So they say that, and the author points out that if a border is disputed by two or more states, the border as seen on Google service will adhere to the beliefs of country A when accessed from within the country, while simultaneously adhering to the beliefs of country B when accessed on its local servers.
Oh my goodness! So depending where you look at the border and what country you're going to see that country's interpretation of its borders.
Exactly. So the author discusses how this policy, displaying a different version of the map to different users, could be the basis for conflict, saying that while Google's cartographer's platform, Google Maps and Google Earth are the most widely used mapping services in the world. Their methodology for affixing borders and naming key features is completely unregulated and deviates from traditional mapping doctrine. Google customizes its maps to adhere to each individual country's beliefs and laws so that its maps do not show a single and objective reality, but rather affirm existing perspectives of the world. So, and of course, disputes have already happened like this, such as the one between Costa Rica and Nicaragua. Because of the power it wields, writes Merrill, Google's role in geopolitics is far more comparable to that of a state or an international adjudicator than its corporate counterparts. So,
can I just make a comment here because I noticed that borders and everything. I understand what they're saying here, but Google happens to be extremely responsive. I don't think I ever told you this, but on the street that we live at, they left off the West thing, and it was just the name of the street, and they left that, and that was causing all kinds of conflict. And they had a little thing there to report a problem, and I went ahead. Okay, it's Google. They probably won't notice it. And I went ahead and reported it. Not 2 days later, I got a little email back from them that said that we received it and I go back to it and they added the West extension to it. So they're pretty fast and they're pretty
well. A lot of it's automated, and there is a little bit of oversight. But I mean, when you send in complaints like that, it goes through an automated kind of thing, and it kind of pings back for the information. And when they receive an update, they process it. So again, it's automation. But what this is saying isn't so much that something is incorrect. It's saying that, between country A and country B, if there is a dispute, Google, being a private industry, they don't have to worry about, as I said, traditional mapping, practices. They can kind of just say, oh, what's that? Okay, well, country A, you dispute this. Okay, so here you go, country A. And country B, you dispute the exact same thing. Here you go, country B. And now you have two different realities for Google Earth. And I guess what the author kind of wants to point out and say is that, when left to, when so much power is wielded by a private company that can really change it depending on, a court order or even their own methodology, yes, it's a private service, but at the end of the day, when it's used by the most people, like this would be like having the most popular dictionary and then just changing the definition of words because you feel that some people don't like that definition, and you go all willy-nilly. Yes, it's a private service. Yes, it's made by a private company, but it's so widely used that there should be some kind of oversight into how they're actually making these borders.
Well, it's a good point. Do you think that's going to happen?
what? Google's pretty powerful. I think any law they're going to try to slap on saying that, hey, Google, you need oversight. Google's going to say, haha, no.
Okay.
I doubt it. I doubt Google's going to do anything, especially just by a paper written. I mean, it's a very interesting topic, and I'm glad that he wrote the paper, and of course, which ultimately brought it to our attention. And it's definitely something to think about. But at the end of the day, it is a private service made by a private company. Nothing even though it's widely used, nothing you can really do about it.
Listen, there were so many stories we didn't get to. Like what you met, Martha Stewart is now riding a hoverboard.
The best stories.
90 seconds.
And also,
best story.
Yeah, and also, is your wireless mouse a security threat? Maybe we'll do those tomorrow. We can get them tomorrow and do that because they were really interesting. But coming up on tomorrow night's show, in the first hour, we're going to have Steve Stockman joining us. He hasn't been with us for a while, and he's going to be with us in the first hour. He wrote the book, How to Shoot Video That Doesn't Suck. And he's going to be back, and he's going to be talking about what he's been up to and basically how to shoot video that doesn't suck. And he's got some great tips for you as well.
Seconds.
And then in the second hour, we'll do computer and technology news brought to you by Slimware Utilities, the official optimization software of Computer America. Don't forget, you enter our contest, our Logitech contest. It's in full swing, you still have a couple of days to get your entry in. Just go to computeramerica.com under the Interact pull-down menu and just our social media contest. It's real simple to do. Do it. Just don't wait. Do it now. Again, thanks to Bob LeVitus for joining us here in the first hour of the show. And thanks to all of you for being here. Bet at 9, we'll see you. Same place, same time, same station. So until tomorrow afternoon, this is Craig Crossman, hoping that your hard disk never becomes floppy. We'll see you tomorrow afternoon.
Have a good one, everyone.
Bye-bye.
10 seconds. Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
Okay, again, thanks to all of you for watching our show, and we'll see you tomorrow with Steve Stockman. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.